The consequences of having nowhere to play were disastrous. The group was literally being chased out of Britain, but a deal with Warner Brothers Records meant a trip to America to promote the album.
Warner Brothers Records wanted us to go and play in the major cities like New York. I decided, no, it's too crass, it's too stupid.
Couldn't play England, because there was nowhere left to play. Europe was out. Head to the States, maybe that'll pull us together.
Oh, let's go south, 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 south.
We don't do the easy venues up north, we go down south, right? Where bands don't tour. And where are the gigs? They're rodeo clubs, aren't they, and cowboy bars. They're all clever, this.
Malcolm's decision to play redneck clubs in America's Bible Belt was guaranteed to cause trouble.
And there was two guys there dressed like Vietnam guerrillas. Military fatigues, the ubiquitous American shades. These two guys, all they ever did was open up their guns and pull them back together. So Sid started to misbehave. One of these guys literally picked him up, almost by his throat, with one hand. Bounced his head on the roof and bounced him back down again. We got to Memphis, sheriff got on stage. And he said, I want you to look out. Either side of here's my SWAT team. And there were guys either side of the PA with guns pointed at the stage. Now you tell me if there's ever been a rock and roll concert like that.
The gigs were great, right up towards the last two. I really enjoyed it, a lot.
If this is what the American youth look up to, if this is what they believe in, then we're in sad shape.
It didn't go violent, it went the opposite way. It went great, they liked us.
The entire audience just rained non-stop garbage.
I really thought that was quite something for a bunch of spotty little kids to be taking that on.
And Sid said the worst thing, all you cowboys are a bunch of faggots.
It worked, we did fine, but off stage, it was already gone. It was just all vanishing off to your own areas.
On January the 14th, 1978, the group played their last ever concert in San Francisco.
Sadly, in San Francisco, when the band boarded the stage, they didn't care about each other at all, and they literally everybody played a different song, all at the same time. It was a phenomenal cacophony.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?
Rotten left the group. As the singer and main songwriter, this should have been the end of the band. But Malcolm had other ideas and wanted to manipulate the situation so they could carry on without him.
And I didn't know what to do. I'd already designed the idea of making a movie. I designed the idea of recording another album. But I didn't think we had necessarily the group intact.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated? You're dead right, I felt cheated. Felt cheated big time.
Malcolm started to make a Sex Pistols movie and soundtrack, which was to be called The Great Rock and Roll Swindle. Johnny Rotten refused to have anything to do with either project. The idea for the film was to tell the story of how Malcolm had created the Sex Pistols, a band that couldn't play, and had swindled his way to the top. The true history of the band being replaced with a fictional account of their rise to fame.
I'll be the Svengali. I'll dictate the 10 commandments of how you swindle your way to the top.
A group that can't play is better than a group that can.
Malcolm manipulated it into a fiasco. He cut off all the hard edges, took out the bollocks, watered it down and softened it up. A cream puff is what he presents to the world then.
Refusing to have anything to do with the group, Johnny Rotten wanted his share of the money from the sales of their records, money he wasn't being paid.
Rotten demanded £75,000. And so the deal was, well, if you give Rotten £75,000, that's the end of it. I was kind of happy to do that. My lawyer thought it was too expensive. Don't pay it, get on. Force Rotten to be in this movie, no matter what.
Hello, no, this isn't right. This is true. Sent camera crews to Jamaica to film it from behind bushes. Now, yeah, they don't need me, they don't acknowledge me, they don't accept I was anything to do with this band at all. Why are you filming me? Without my permission? Still continuing that cheeky fucking attitude.
McLaren was faced with the unusual problem of trying to complete an album and film with a band, but no lead singer.
Well, we'll record one record with Ronnie Biggs. We'll make him the lead singer. And we'll record another with Sid. And then we delivered it to Virgin.
How can you like it? There's nothing in it. That is a con. That is a swindle. I've always thought so.
People thought the thing was becoming very pantomimic. It looked a bit like a comedy show now. Meanwhile, the wolves were gathering at the door. The record companies were pushing and pushing and pushing, and then Sid went to New York, and then the terrible thing happened.
On the 12th of October 1978, screams and loud bangs could be heard from room 100 of New York's Chelsea Hotel. Police found the blood-stained body of Sid's girlfriend, Nancy, slumped beneath the bathroom sink.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain.
Got this call from the Sun newspaper. Is John Beverly, is that the same as Sid Vicious? I said, yeah, he's just been arrested on murder.
Sid was let out on bail paid by Malcolm McLaren and using money earned by the Sex Pistols, even though Malcolm wasn't actually managing Sid at the time.
It was meant to happen. Nancy always said she'd die before she was 21.
It's never been proved whether Sid murdered Nancy or not, but whatever the truth, he was soon going to follow her to the grave.
What would you like to happen now over the next, say, year or two?
I'd like to have fun.
The band didn't want to know. That was one of the greatest tragedies. They just didn't want to know, and I thought, well, perhaps what we should do, if we do anything at all, was to actually find him the best possible trial lawyer we can.
And the lawyer had some interesting thoughts to change Sid's image.
And he said, get Sid, can you think you could get him jogging a little bit? We can take some photos. And if he's going to date anybody, let him date someone like a librarian. What about buying him a dog?
Sid Vicious died of a heroin overdose on the 2nd of February 1979. He was 21. It's generally accepted that the drug was supplied to Sid by his mother, herself a user. These notes are thought to be the last things he ever wrote.
He got it wrong. He got it wrong. He needed the drug thing to hide his own lack of self-esteem. I miss the silly sausage, but Jesus, he really went at that so wrong and made such foolish moves. I know for it. I resent him wasting his life.
Many speculations and conspiracy theories have been cast over Nancy's murder and Sid's death, but whatever the truth is, Sid and Nancy had lived the myth and tragically secured their place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Sex Pistols were now well and truly dead as a band, and Johnny Rotten had already initiated legal proceedings against Malcolm McLaren. The hearing began just 5 days after Sid's death. The case was really a fight for the truth, for the control over the Sex Pistols' back catalogue, and for the group's missing earnings.
And this is a serious court case. This is about money and corruption and vast amounts of cash being filtered off into other projects, which are not necessarily musical.
We hadn't really prepared for this so-called court case. We've been negligible in that regard. We quickly tried to get some affidavits from various people.
The case from Malcolm's side was absolutely insanely childish. It started out with, it was basically scurrilous personal attacks, you know, from the likes of Vivian Westwood. I never liked him anyway. This has nothing to do with it. You don't like me, fine, but hands off, what's mine, right? Hello, I wrote those songs, not you. I was absolutely up for it. I don't lie, see? I got nothing to worry about here. I've already had, like, my wallet nicked, right? I just want it back.
I was sort of vaguely amused by this, you know. This started out as a wonderful gag. Now I was in court with, and I being accused of having manipulated and perpetrated this enormous fraud.
I have brought you many things in my time, but the most successful of all was an invention of mine they called the punk lock.
Running around pretending he invented us. Invented me? I don't think so.
Meanwhile, Rotten's lawyers were portraying him as this white knight, this poor, undernourished kid who'd been taken off by this man, manipulated to join a group with the sole intention of robbing this industry of this, that, and the other.
And there was a huge tax bill that was not taken care of.
But McLaren had a problem. The Great Rock and Roll Swindle not only described how he defrauded the record industry, but Johnny Rotten as well.
Why did the Sex Pistols break up on the brink of being a successful rock and roll band?
Why? Because we seized our chance in San Francisco to frame the singer, leaving him with the contracts and us with the money.
And if that was lumbered on me, I mean, what else tax would come my way that I'd be responsible for but not actually earning on? It's unacceptable. Really, really nasty-minded.
The script of the Great Rock and Roll Swindle was used as part of the evidence in the case and was given to the judge to read.
He announced he didn't know whether he was being had, that it was a comedy, or whether it was true. If he was being had, it wasn't bad, but if it was true, it was an absolute criminal act.
As the days passed, it started to become clear that things were going badly for Malcolm.
They had all these quotes in the press that they particularly garnered to paint even a darker. This man, almost the evilest man who ever walked the planet, was now standing in front of you, virtually Lucifer himself. And I thought, well, that's not a bad way to go, really.
I was more than prepared to go in any witness box and say whatever needed to be said, but you know who didn't.
And on the final day when I knew there was going to be a judgment, I caught a taxi to the Midland Bank on Oxford Street, where the account was. I withdrew a certain amount of money. I put it in my pockets, my socks, all over me. I was like a walking paper of the Queen. Fabulous way to drift out of this goddamn island.
Just stop the fucking spitting. I don't like being spat at.
The Sex Pistols are even more famous now than they were in the 70s. Their records are constantly being updated and remixed for a new generation. For a brief period, punk changed the landscape of Britain and the world of music. It proved that anyone could be in a rock and roll band, something that's still with us today. But for Malcolm and Johnny, old wounds can't be changed so easily.
He's never been asked to explain that's that court case at all, has he? He's never ever been challenged on it.
They felt that I had truthfully become Lucifer. I was this devil. I had gone too far. I was insane. I'm not.
Very noticeable, poignant moment in his life, I would think. You know?
After 8 years of legal wrangling, the cash and assets finally reverted back to the Sex Pistols.
I feel it was an incredible miscarriage of justice.
Johnny Rotten had won his war.
His name really should never have come up after it, ever again, as having any relevance or importance. You lost, you bastard.
Rotten always was a good boy, trying desperately hard to be a bad boy.
I've not borrowed, stolen, nicked, put my name on something it don't belong to.
He's a nice boy, a good boy.
Yeah, that can make me difficult to work with, but those are my standards.
It's very hard to be bad. I struggle to be bad. It's hard, but it's worthwhile in the end.
So you don't see there being any reconciliation with Malcolm after all these years?
That would imply there was a friendship in the first place.